You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Keys to the City. I'm your host, Trevor Keys, alongside the big brother, T3, Ted Keys. He's there. He's locked and loaded. He's ready to go. So we are Keys to the City. Check us out on all social media platforms. So comment, like, subscribe, and share. Wow, what a weekend! What a wild conference championship Sunday. I don't know. You might not say that if you're a Detroit fan. Might not say that if you're a Baltimore fan. But
I thought both of my picks were going to be wrong.
Ted, think about this though. Last week we go 3 for 4 in the semifinals, 75%. This week, not so hot. We're not so hot. We're 50%.
No,
and then the Super Bowl, we're either going to be all in or we're going to just be the biggest loser. We're going to either be 100% or we're going to be 0. Don't know how it's going to play out in the next week and a half, how this Super Bowl will play out, but it is a rematch of 2019/2020 between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Once again, the Kansas City Chiefs are there. So when you think about how yesterday and everything went down, you think about this, that I came up with this poll. I posted a poll today on our Keys of the City Facebook. Right now it has currently 197 votes. And the poll was what was more surprising to you yesterday? Because if you really think about it, how can you start to show with one or the other? It seems like you have to start with both, or you can try to decipher the two because of the way how each game played out. The AFC title game, where was that high octane rushing attack of the Baltimore Ravens? And then the night game, Dan Campbell, the last 2 times he's been in San Fran, has been a part of 2 mega comebacks. Bad defeats. San Francisco 49ers against the Giants, 24-point lead. They blew back in 2002. And then yesterday, a 17-point lead in the NFC Championship game. It looked like Detroit and the city of Detroit was about to see some history. Could have been the greatest day in Detroit Lions history, but they will have to wait another year. So, Ted, I feel like this is how it has to play out. Yeah, we give credit to the 49ers coming back. We give credit to Kansas City Chiefs once again prevailing and showing us that you want to keep going against us? Well, we have Patrick Mahomes. We have Travis Kelce. We have Andy Reid. We're not going anywhere for a long time. As long as 15 is back there, Kansas City Chiefs will always be in play, just like that team up north, right about an hour and a half away from you, Ted, in Boston, where as long as they had 12 in the hoodie, they were always going to be in contention. So, Ted, honestly, if you really could pick one, I'm very curious to know what your biggest takeaway or what your most surprising result is. Is it the Lions' 17-point collapse, or is the Ravens no-show offensively?
It's the Ravens. It's the Ravens, bro. It's 100%. It's 100% the Ravens. Because I said this to you last night on the way home from Clinton. I literally predicted the second half, almost to the script of how it happened. I literally told you this. I said it last night in bed.
You should have bet it, Ted.
No, shut up. I said I wish I just recorded our conversation. Because I don't know. I had a weird feeling. It's unfortunate the way that Detroit game went, but that wasn't surprising. It was just miscues from that perspective. But the surprising is the Ravens. You have the MVP, the best player in the NFL this season during the regular season, Lamar Jackson. You had one of the best offenses in the entire league. You had home field advantage. You had the number 1 scoring defense in football. You had the special teams. You had everything in the checkbox on your side, and you screwed it up. And not just screwed it up, you were awful. You scored 7 points. I don't care. I don't count the field goal. Wait, who gives a shit about the Tucker field goal with 2:34 left in the fourth quarter? So many missed opportunities and miscues, and just listen, I get it. The Chiefs' defense was second in scoring defense, just behind the Ravens.
Let's give credit to that defense. That's a good defense.
But to pretend like they were 85 beers and they were stout and they had all these players. Dude, the Ravens' offense, that was the worst showing entire season. They had destroyed everyone all season. Everyone they had played, of the teams above 500, they had beaten them by double digits. They had not played in a close game like that, really, for most of the season. They had dominated all their opponents. And everything they did, they out-execute everyone during the season. First of all, I don't know why you don't run the football. I mean, if you know Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, since he's been in the league, they're a running team. They run the football. They ran the ball 8 times. I don't understand, because if you check the second game, the San Francisco, they never detoured off their game plan. The Ravens, why are you throwing the ball 47 times to Lamar Jackson? Throw the ball 30 times.
That was my biggest problem, Ted.
I'm watching the offense. I'm watching the game. I'm like, okay. So Mahomes starts out great. And, and Lamar and whatever, they kind of shaky. But they were shaky in the first half against the Texans. I'm like, all right, whatever. Maybe the Chiefs defense, they'll find their rhythm. Mm-hmm. And then the game goes on, and it's like, other than Lamar making the deep throw to Zay Flowers and just kind of scrambling, he should have been sacked on the play. Mm-hmm. They didn't do anything. I mean, I get it. Like Zay Flowers fumbles going into the end zone. Another miss opportunity. But where's Gus Edwards? Where was
here's the thing.
Where was the play action? Where was the running? Where's Lamar scrambling? And why are we lining up in 4 or 5 wide receiver sets like we're the Rams of 1999 and throw the ball over the field?
Ted, I'll tell you why.
You were literally playing into Spags and Chiefs' game plan. The Chiefs were like, listen, you can't throw from the pocket. We're going to rush 4, and then we're just going to blitz the shit out because we know you can't beat us from the pocket. We're going to make you beat us, and he didn't. And the Ravens never adjusted. I didn't understand the game plan, and that's what was most surprising. Trev, they were so bad. The Ravens were awful. They were so bad.
I mean, come on, so bad that they should all be in detention.
I mean, surprising. Listen, the Lions. It's the Lions. I mean, it adds to the narrative of their story of the debacle of the Detroit Lions. I mean, that's like a Browns game. That's typical. It's like we had everything in front of us and we just made.
That's like witnessing. That's like witnessing Cleveland.
You said most surprising. The surprising 17-point lead by the Lions. I would, if you said what was more surprising, that the Lions kicked the 49ers rear ends in the first half. That was surprising, the way they dominated the game. I'm not surprised at the collapse because I kind of told you, and I thought, were they going to make the plays in the second half? The surprising essence to me was that the Ravens no-showed offensively, and they just, for the whole game, I mean, I thought there would have been a better game plan going into this game. You felt that if this was the moment for Lamar Jackson, and like we talked about before the weekend, was the narrative on Lamar going to change? And I think for all the haters out there, the narrative gets louder about Lamar Jackson can't win the big game. He's just not good enough. He's a regular season guy. He's what Peyton Manning was in the earliest career, where he could never go. He's a Dak Prescott. He's those guys. Okay, you put up all these big numbers, but if you go look at his playoff numbers now, in the losses, I think it was
he's back in the Josh Allen conversation.
He scores like 10 points. That's the same. He could not come up big and execute in the biggest game. And then what it does is it proves to us that Mahomes really now, there is no question, he is the best quarterback.
All right, we'll get into that. I have a lot to say about both of these games. So I posted a poll. 64% agreed with you, Ted. Out of 197 votes, 64% of the public said Ravens no-show was a more surprising result from yesterday. We talked about this the past couple weeks with Buffalo, now with Baltimore. Even you can add Detroit in this too. So today's title of the show is Experience Triumphed Over Inexperience. And it was on full display in both of these games. So when you think about Baltimore, yeah, I get it. Lamar, they've been excellent. The Ravens as a franchise has been in the situation, AFC Championship, not this unit. So you see how the Chiefs have been able to dominate the AFC. Look how Baltimore, composure, indecisiveness, hesitant, sloppy, penalties. I mean, everything that goes against a team that shows inexperience was on display. The Lions, up big. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson waved it. Hey, guess what, Chauncey? Now you can wave your ass at home because now you're going to be waiting for another 7 months because your dumbass didn't have to wave to people because you don't. That's the problem with teams like that. You get so hyped up in the moment that you think it's all over. But look, this is a 60-minute game. So for them to have it all by the balls this game and to see it just slowly falter, continue to fall, and ultimately lose, I mean, it's
Especially because the Ravens defense didn't give up 1 point in the second half.
But not
So
even
that
it's
makes it-
both.
that makes
It's
it
with
even
both
worse.
games, bro. We talked about this in the weekend that the show for you guys, for the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens, you wanted to be the man, you had to beat the man. Well, Baltimore, you showed that you ain't still ready for it. Just like the Bills, this was the opportunity of a lifetime. And then the Lions, you were the David versus Goliath. You only had 3 playoff victories all time. You're going against a team that now has the most playoff victories of all time. So they've been here before. They had 73 players that have played in an NFC Championship game. The Lions only had 7. 7 compared to 73. So this team has been here before. Guess what? The experience in both games triumphed over the inexperience. Maybe that the Lions were the better team in the first half, but they damn sure weren't in the second half. Baltimore. What happened? Todd Monken. They should have called Greg Roman back because Greg Roman used to love running the football. Todd Monken did something that I kept saying it all day. I said it to you. I said it to Dad. Todd Monken was trying to have Lamar go toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes, like by throwing the ball. Not like Lamar Jackson is a phenomenal quarterback, one of the best in the world, but his strength has always been his legs. His arm has gotten better. His accuracy has gotten better. Not yesterday, but it's gotten better each year. His legs are what separates him from everyone else. And Todd Monken decided to go, let's go have him throw the ball. And that's why you saw the indecisiveness, the hesitation throughout games or throughout the game, the throws, the overthrows. Like Lamar had a lot of opportunities where he could have saw a lot of green and really made some big plays for this offense. They were averaging 157 yards per game from the ground during the regular season. It was the number 1 rush offense in football. So to see this, how everything transpired yesterday in both games, how can you go against Kansas City moving forward in the Super Bowl because they continue to show why experience, maturity. Look, you can have all the talent in the world. I get it. Talent is a crucial part in
This
today's.
was the year that Baltimore was supposed to get.
No, this was. How about this, Ted? Not even just
lined up for them.
Ted, it wasn't even Baltimore. It was the whole AFC as a whole that this was for the taking.
Yeah, but now Baltimore even more so.
The
Josh
Buffalo
Allen
Bills.
was out. The Bills had dealing injury.
I get it, but
Deshaun was out. Miami dealt with
no, realistically.
Listen, I know.
I was going to say this.
I get what you're trying to get at, but this is about Baltimore. Who gives a shit about him? This was Baltimore's opportunity.
You were trying. My thing was that you were trying to go through every team. I was going to say this was about 2 teams.
I don't need to go through the teams.
I'm just saying what I was going to say is
their opportunity, home field advantage, dominating defense, one of the best offenses, MVP Lamar Jackson. You had weapons now. There was no more excuses. You had Zay Flowers. You had Beckham. Mark Andrews was back.
But this is what I was going to say.
Them to succeed, and they shit the bed.
This was what I was going to say about this. I'm not trying to put it with every team. There was 2 specific teams this season, and I would say specific players that needed to prove the doubters wrong. And it was Josh Allen and it was Lamar Jackson, especially in this playoffs. Knowing that Joe Burrow was out for the year, it came down to those 2 guys because those are the ones that we like to say, oh, it's Patrick Mahomes and everybody else is fighting for second. Well, that's clear now. That's as clear as it gets in sports. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is up here and everybody else is fighting for second.
He's the Michael Jordan of the NFL right now.
Yeah, pretty much. And we just talked about it. Baltimore, Buffalo last week. This was the taking. This was supposed to be the moment that, hey, the Chiefs were down. They had struggles throughout the season. Receivers couldn't catch the ball. Travis Kelce was struggling, looked older. The offensive line had a lot of penalties. Was the most penalized team in the game. They still had Patrick Mahomes and they still had that defense. And guess what? They're 60 minutes away again from winning another Super Bowl. So, this is what I was talking about in the sense of these 2 franchises, Buffalo and Baltimore, because of the factor of how they played going into the postseason. Baltimore was the number 1 seed. Buffalo kept winning to get into the playoffs, got the 2 seed, and this was that. They were going to have Kansas City come to their places for the first time in history that Patrick Mahomes was going to be playing on the road, and it didn't bother him. He made throws, he believed in his receivers, and he just is that damn good. That's what makes
11 for 11.
I think for me, Baltimore, more surprising. Yeah, the offense not showing up. I shouldn't be surprised by the results because it's like watching the Patriots of 2023.
Yeah, but they choked. The Ravens
choked.
But
my thing was the Lions. I was so shocked because I was like, wow, they might actually shock the world and play in a Super Bowl. And they were the way they led, they had more yards and they had more first downs
Yeah,
than
I
the
was more
49ers throughout the
shocked
whole game.
of the dominance in the first half than I was the collapse.
I could say yes.
They were smacking for the 49ers around like that. Bing, 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 boom, boom, boom.
But Ted, I could say yes to that because of the fact that, like you said early on in the show, yes, they were so surprising in the first half how they played offensively and defensively overall. But then again, you said it. It's the Detroit Lions. It's like the Cleveland Browns. It's like watching John Elway when you're this close to getting to a Super Bowl and John Elway goes right down 98 yards to win the game in Cleveland. And you know Cleveland is still hurting from that day. This one could sting for a long time. The big question is, everybody's talking about it, is Dan Campbell. Was his decisions too overly aggressive? I know that he plays a part in it, just like Lamar plays a huge part in yesterday's defeat. It is shocking for both games because of the way these results happen and how it played out.
I'll put it this way: the games. Do you think I don't think both games were super exciting. Like I don't think like
the Baltimore game was a dud. But that's what good defenses do, man. That's what good
defensive battle on both sides. Yeah. Absolutely. And then in the second game, you had two different games. You had the first half where Detroit totally dominated the game, and you know it's kind of funny now that I think about it. They went for a fourth down in second half, but when Gibbs was right before the half, they decided to kick the field goal instead of going for it. They could have went up. You know,
3 touchdowns.
20, yeah, it could have went up 3 touchdowns. So it's just whatever. Listen, unfortunately, both games didn't live up to the billing that I think a lot of fans had. I think we expected, especially the way that Chiefs Baltimore, like you expect, all right, we got a lot of points. Here we go. Like we're gonna have a shootout. No one scored in the second half. What was it? Just 3 points?
It was just a field goal. Yeah, it was 17-7 at half.
17-7. That was it. So the Chiefs. You know, and listen, and more power to the Chiefs. Like, they did what they had to do. Like, everyone hates, oh, my God, the Chiefs again. They did what they had to do, bro. Like, they had the best quarterback. They had the best offensive player on the field in Travis Kelce. And their defense was just as good, if not better.
Let's give credit to Baltimore's D because they gave them opportunity after opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. But the Chiefs, to be able to control that offense, to hold Lamar – listen, you look at the numbers, 272.
Because they tried to make him something he wasn't. They tried to make him a drop-back passer, throwing the ball 37 times. That's not Lamar Jackson.
No, 47.
No, he was 20 of 37. He was 20 of 37. I looked up, trust me, I looked up the stats on ESPN. If you want to check, go check it out. But he's dropped back at 37 times a game in yesterday's game. That's not what he does. That's not who he is. Yes, he's improved in his completion percentage. Yes, he's become more accurate. Yes, he can throw the ball. But he is just as deadly, if not more deadly, like we always said with Michael, Vick. Like we always said with Michael Vick, why he was such a special talent back then, because he didn't have to always throw the ball. We knew he had one of the strongest arms in the game. He was not as accurate as possibly Lamar, but boy, oh boy, if he saw an opening like the Green Bay wild card game, he's going to run and make plays. Yeah, and to see Lamar
indecisive.
And I kept saying that, like, okay, maybe the pressure's off of him now because he finally got that one win. And it's kind of like, I was trying to think of this. It's kind of like the first down of the game. Like, you need to get that first down on the final drive of the game. It's always the toughest, right? Like, you're 2 minutes in the game, left in the game, you're trailing by a touchdown or a field goal. What's the toughest thing? Is getting that first down. Then everything comes easier for you. I felt like that's what happened last week. I was like, okay, Baltimore struggled at first in the first half against Houston. Then they started getting their groove going. Lamar started playing like the MVP Lamar. I was like, okay, they're going to be fine because now they got their first down. Now they're going to starting to roll and they're going to start feeling themselves. But that was the complete opposite. Todd Monken did not, and John Harbaugh, shame on them for having I'm going to say a putrid game plan. Because that's not the game plan that got you there. Lamar Jackson is not a guy that's going to drop back. It's like asking Jalen Hurts or Justin Fields to drop back and throw the ball 35, 40 times. That's not who they are. That's not who these guys are. That's not how they got there. Exactly. They're dual threat quarterbacks. Yes, they can throw the ball. Yes, they've improved in accuracy. But those guys are athletes too. And Lamar Jackson may be the greatest athlete to ever play the quarterback position. Yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, I think that's a dumb thing for me to say. He's the greatest athlete to ever play the game of football as the quarterback. And for him to stand in the pocket and just wait and look so indecisive, it looked like 2018 Lamar Jackson, where he played in his first game against the San Diego Chargers at the time and looked awful. That's what he looked like to me. So he took a drastic step back. They took 2 steps forward last week, winning the first game. Now they went 3 steps back because of everything that played out. Detroit, look, a lot of people didn't even think Detroit was going to be there. I did say throughout the season, though, Detroit was the best opportunity for them in the NFC of all the teams that would go toe-to-toe with San Fran because their style of play. It worked, Ted, in the first half. I felt like they got away from it, and they became, during the play calls, it seemed like they were conservative at times, and then on 4th down, they became overly aggressive, which was frustrating.
You're averaging 8 yards a carry.
They couldn't do anything on the ground in the second half.
They could have. He's got to stick with the game plan.
I know, and that's the problem. That's where the experience of the Chiefs and the 49ers come into play, and then the inexperience of the Lions and the Ravens came into play. Because the Ravens tried to go toe-to-toe with Lamar Jackson, and, we're going to go against Patrick Mahomes. We're going to have Lamar throw the ball and be like Patrick Mahomes. He's not Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't have to be. Let him be Lamar Jackson. And they didn't. And they had many, many, many opportunities yesterday. And they didn't. And the Lions, I mean, as a Lions fan, I feel for you today. It's probably the shittiest feeling in the world, knowing that you were literally not like that.
We've been there. We've been there as a Giant fan. I don't care if it's a conference championship, but we've been there.
Dude, you're going to the Super Bowl as a team that's been known for losing. Oof. That's like John Elway going against the Browns in the 80s and the drive.
We know what it's like.
Dude, that's like the drive. That's like the drive.
Whatever. I've seen enough of Giant games. The Deshaun Jackson punt return after that.
Yeah, but that would,
I get it. It doesn't matter. I've seen it.
It's a different feel, though.
Oh, absolutely.
That you're this close to playing in a Super Bowl.
And the way I look at it is, it's not that the 49ers outplayed them. Miscues by the Detroit.
Yeah.
It was about, that game was all about Detroit. It was all about Detroit. Miscues. Yeah. Missed opportunities. Right before the half, you said Goff a little bit behind, a little low on Gibbs. Yeah. Catches it, he scores easily instead of being knocked out of bounds inside the 5. And then you score a touchdown instead of 3. You know,
Josh Reynolds finally figured out how to drop the ball now.
Josh Reynolds, 2 drops. 1 on 4th down, 4th and 3. Then again, I'd say kick the field goal. They had Logan Ryan today on Colin Cowherd, and even Logan Ryan, he plays for the 49ers. They had picked him up. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I did.
You saw that. He said, kick the field goal. Go up 17. Go up.
I like that. I like that they went for it first time.
I get it. They say, well, that's what they've done all season long, the Lions. I get it, but every game is different. You don't construct every game the same way. Like, hey, this is the way I pitch. I go 7 innings with my starter, and this is what I do.
Yeah, you got to change it up.
Every game is just its own entity. You have to adjust. You have to understand this is a conference championship. Take the points, bro. You're up 14. Kick the field goal. Go up 17. It's all about momentum. It's like an NBA team. They're on a run, 8-0 run. Call a timeout. Hurry up before you stop it before the bleeding gets out of control. Kick the field goal, go up 17. I get it. You're not up 21. Whatever. Yeah. It's still 3 possession. They have to score 3 times.
I get it.
Go up 17. It's a field goal.
That's what Campbell has been.
Here's the other thing. You and we talk about this all the time. You, me, and Dad. When guys miss extra points. Even though you got the 6, you make the extra point. It's almost like you lost 5 points. The momentum of a missed extra point or a blocked field goal is huge. That game was all about momentum. The 49ers, you come down, you get the field goal, they get the 3 now, they get the 7. Now it's like, oh, 10, here you go. Gibbs fumbles.
We should have known when Brandon Ayuk caught that pass. Like, oh boy, should have known. Should have known. When you have plays like that happen, you just know that God's on your side or somebody's on your side.
Guy in the face, catch the ball, mispicked right there. No different than the guy in the 49ers. What was it, Tart 3 years ago against the Rams?
Oh, yeah, against the Rams in the NFC.
Drop the ball, interception. Yep. Rams goes to the Super Bowl. right? I mean, we've seen this before. Catch the ball, pick, knock it down. Then you don't get a 51-yard completion. Gibbs fumbles, goes the wrong way. He only has fumbled once all season. Josh Reynolds fumbles twice. Two miscues. The fourth downs. Kick the first field goal. You're up 17.
I don't mind them going for it the first time. The second time, okay, because it would have been tied. No, because they would have been tied at least.
Just go kick the field goal. You're up 17.
But that's what Campbell's done since he's became the coach.
It, but he's always run every game the same way, and
you gotta have faith. You gotta have faith in your offense. I guess you have faith in them.
For the 49ers was like an avalanche. Put the barriers up and block it. Slow it down. Just take the points. Who gives a shit if they're right there by 10 or whatever? Just take the point. Just keep chipping away. I hate when teams, we think we're smarter than everyone else. Take the points. Take the 3. We're going to go for 2 in the first half. Oh, we miss it. Then you look at then they got to try to catch up for 2 later on. And you're like, if you guys just kick the extra points every time, you'd only be down by 3. But then you look at the end of the game, they're down by 6 or 5, and you're like, now you need a touchdown. It's like if you just wait till you need the actual 2-point conversion. Take the point. Unless it's a long, 40-yard field goal, and you're like, do I want to kick a 57-yard field goal or 55-yard or go for it on 4th and 3? I'll go for it. But that was a manageable field goal for Bagley.
So I'm going to answer this question quickly for myself.
Wait, I'm more you said the
No,
Ravens.
I didn't. No, but listen, this is what I'm going to say. More surprised that the Lions collapsed because of how great they looked in the first half. The way that I thought they could have continued. I'm more disappointed in the Ravens. I'm not surprised. I'm more disappointed.
You're not surprised that the Ravens played like
I
shit.
am a little surprised, but I'm more disappointed because they played again. They had this style that they were going to try to do something completely different that they have been doing that they weren't doing all season. Like I get it, they were averaging 30 points a game. They were dominating. But to me, I was disappointed because they put Lamar in a situation where let's go have him go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes passing. You want to have him go toe-to-toe? Have him play the way he's been playing where you have that running RPO factor. Dude, 6 carries by the running backs. 8 of them, the lead rusher was Lamar Jackson.
Bro, I know.
It's just, I'm more disappointed.
Denver's had 12, 15 touchdowns this year. I know, and for fantasy playing against them. Where's the power running game? Where's Justice Hill on the speed stuff? Where's the quick outs to Beckham and Zay Flowers? I get it. Zay Flowers had a nice day yesterday.
But also very undisciplined by Baltimore. They were very undisciplined yesterday. And then the Lions, that's why I say the experience of the 49ers.
I thought the Joe Tuning injury for Kansas City was going to be a huge loss. Listen, the things that the Chiefs made, the Chiefs, no drops yesterday, which they were number 1 in the league, which is incredible. They did sack Mahomes. Got 1 sack on Mahomes.
Playoff football is different, man.
But you watched the game yesterday, and you're like, the time and the protection that Mahomes had. That play where he had Kelsey kind of like the flutter pass.
Yeah, Purdy did the same thing. I saw 2 plays yesterday.
There was 9.6 seconds on that pass.
Did you see that there were 2 plays yesterday that were literally identical? Purdy did that with Jennings, and Jennings made the one-handed catch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, which catch was better, the Jennings catch or the Kelsey catch? You pick and choose which one, because both of them were fucking incredible. Yeah. They were incredible. Let's get over. We talked about the teams that lost. We should be talking about the teams that won.
Of course, we wasted much time on that.
No, because I think it was a lot of good talking points. That's what happens when a lot of shit that went on yesterday that you have to talk about. Lions collapsing, and then the Ravens just saying, let's not show up. My big thing is, San Fran's in the Super Bowl, and they're 60 minutes away from winning another title. But these are 2 straight games. The NFC North got 2 inexperienced teams. If they play this way going forward against a team that has been dominating the NFL, can they continue to play this way where they're trailing by double digits against Kansas City?
I think so. And I think as a team,
are you saying it confidently or no?
I think this is the best thing that's happened to San Francisco.
Are you saying that confidently, though?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the best thing that's happened to San Francisco because you go into the Super Bowl going, shit, Purdy plays a little bit awful in the first quarter and you're down like 10-0 or 10.
Yeah, but this is Mahomes. This is Mahomes and the Chiefs, bro.
I know, I get it, but
they'll take advantage of it.
No, absolutely, but as a 49er fan and as a football fan, you're like, all right, well, guess what? If Purdy doesn't play well in the first quarter, if the hype gets a little bit too much, you've seen him in back-to-back weeks come back and play his best football in the second half and the fourth quarter. So you
That's
have
true.
trust, there's a faith, there's a belief. The team believes that he can do it. So I think it's the best thing. I think if they ran through their playoffs and then got to the Super Bowl, and then there was some adversity early in that game where Kansas City kind of jumped on them, then I think you're like, oh shit, how do they handle it? Can he? I think now you're like, okay, man, like we've proved it. Like we were down in Green Bay and got beat up, but Purdy came back, and then we were down 17. And you know why they came back? It was Purdy. Purdy was the guy with his legs.
You're playing against two teams two inexperienced teams.
His QBR in the second half was like 99.1. I thought I saw him.
Oh, I get it. He was incredible. The team was incredible, but you got to also take into factor, Ted.
Using his legs, running, he's made the throw. So it's a confidence. You're right. You know what I mean? When everything is so great and you're just kicking everyone's ass, it's easy. But how do you handle when the adversity comes, when all the pressure's on you? We're like, oh my God, he's really not going to do this again. He's going to fail. They're the reason why he's going to lose. And they dominated. The defense did what they had to do in the second half to stop. And I get it. I just yelled about the Detroit stuff, all the miscues. Get it. If Detroit doesn't have the drops and doesn't have the fourth down miscues and the fumble, we're not maybe talking about Purdy and them. I get it. Whatever. And we're probably saying, you know what, Purdy wasn't good enough, blah, blah, blah. But that is the narrative, right? The narrative, Purdy's led this team to back-to-back. And this is a San Francisco team, and this is a Kyle Shanahan team that we've known, Trev, that they don't win from losing from behind. They're a team that they get up on you and they dominate and they're forced their will. You got to have a little more confidence knowing that you can come back and you've done it and proved it. Now, I understand this is a different team.
It's a different animal now.
Different animal. But I think the confidence level has to still be high that we can do it, that if we are in this situation, we have the guys, we have the team that can do this, and we believe in our quarterback. And that's got to pose some type of significance for this team. Now, listen, does the 49ers want to win this way? But, hey, listen, we saw the San Francisco team, 4 years ago against the same Chiefs team, and they were up.
It's a little different. It's a different Chiefs team. Tyreek Hill's not there. That's a big difference.
Okay, I get it. Still, they were up and they blew it.
Do you remember they were up by 10 with 7 minutes left?
Absolutely, and
they blew it.
The Damian Williams show. So, and I think Purdy is Jimmy G, but he's more athletic, Jimmy G, and I think he's a guy that processes the play at a higher level. And he makes the better play. And if you watch him, he makes all the throws.
The thing was, Jimmy G
did not make all the throws.
But Purdy
will make the throw, and Purdy's made the throws.
He
made all the throws he needed to yesterday, and they were all on the money.
The one thing I would say, though, is I know he didn't play, but Jimmy G still had that sense of experience because of the fact that he was with the Pats and he was part of the Super Bowl teams. I know he didn't play, so he was there before. This is going to be a whole –
This is still his. People gotta understand. This is only his second year. Like we act like the guy's been there's. And think about he was the last pick in the draft. All right, he was the third string quarterback. He took over the role and would have led him to 11 straight wins until he finally had a loss last season. Then this year, okay, you got hurt. You had that UCL tear to come back a season later to be one of the most dominant teams. Played at an MVP level for majority of the season. They're in the Super Bowl. And like we talked about before, Trev, the amount of pressure was on San Francisco to win, to get to the Super Bowl, to win a Super Bowl.
They were a touchdown favorite.
So that's a lot of pressure on a guy.
What does it say now?
That's a lot of pressure on a guy that suppostly is not in the same conversation as Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Purdy had handled the pressure better than both Josh Allen and Lamar.
Fair enough.
We talk about Dak Prescott. We talk about Jared Goff and Stafford and all these quarterbacks. I think Purdy has at least proven himself that he's a top 10 quarterback. Maybe he doesn't have all the talents that all the guys in front of him have, but he wins and he does what he has to do. And he's not the reason, and he's the reason why they win too. It's not just because they got Debo and McCaffrey. He still is the facilitator. He still makes all the right plays. He's the one that made the plays on third down with his runs. 58 yards rushing.
Yeah, because you know what? He had, and that's why I say what I said, retracting back to my last point, is the confidence in himself to make those decisions where he didn't see anybody, so he didn't force anything. He didn't stay in the pocket. He ran. He made plays. That's what makes me so disappointed with Baltimore.
How many quarterbacks have we seen come in this league that were first-round, second-round picks that couldn't do half of what he's done? And they're like, oh, well, they got the best player.
Well,
you still got to execute.
Here's the thing. Josh Allen hasn't been there. Lamar Jackson hasn't been there. Dak Prescott hasn't been there. Kirk Cousins hasn't been there. Just some of the names that people
Hey,
like to
listen,
give a lot of
Tua's got
pressure.
some talent. Tua's got some players down in Miami. Herbert's got some talent in LA. You know what I mean? We're talking.
I think that team's going to be a lot different. I think that team's going to be a lot different now, though.
Dak Prescott had weapons. Jalen Hurts had weapons.
Everybody has. If you're a good team,
win.
When people say, "Oh, he has too many weapons," then if you don't have weapons, you're usually probably not that good of a. You're not that good of a.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, you got people. Yeah, the people that make that argument that's saying, "Oh, he has so much talent." Well, if you don't have talent, then you're probably at the bottom of the food chain. You're probably drafting it. You're probably drafting the top 5, like Chicago. I mean, Chicago's got some talent, but a team like the Giants, where they don't have a lot of talent, guess what? If you don't have talent, you're most of the time not going to. You're not going to be a good franchise. You're not going to. My point is that you're not going to be a good team. So for all the people that say, "Oh, he has too many weapons," yeah, look at all the good teams in the league. Philly, you just said it, Ted. Philly, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Cowboys, the Lions,
the Bills, Miami, Chargers,
Ravens. I mean, if anything, the Ravens have probably the least amount of superstar talent on their team compared to the others.
I mean, Joe Burrow's got 3 receivers. Joe Mixon, they got linebackers.
Look at the Chargers, great talent. Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got talent. Houston Texans are going to have talent. So for people that say, "Oh, well, he has too much talent, so it's easy for him," yeah, no shit. If you don't have talent, you're not playing usually in Super Bowls. You're preparing for the NFL draft. So that's a dumb. I hate, and I'm agreeing with you. I am agreeing with you, but that's dumb when people say, "Oh, he has so much talent." Yeah, I know. All the great ones do.
Listen, Purdy's the guy, and
name me a team that didn't have all-time great weapons.
The narrative is still going to be the same in the Super Bowl. I
get it. What do you think? Do you
Purdy's the guy? Yeah, absolutely. Listen, he's proved it. Now, of course, the narrative in the Super Bowl is he going to be good enough to outplay Mahomes?
For a big
but
contract.
He doesn't have to outplay Mahomes. He just has to play his game. He has to play similar to how he played in the. I mean, if you look at the way he's played, 5 of his 8 quarters so far in the playoffs has been garbage, absolutely trash. But when it's mattered the most in the fourth quarter, where we always talk about like a James Harden or a Chris Paul or all these big name guys, like fourth quarter when it matters most, how does your superstar play?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He's played like Derek Jeter, not the most talented guy, but he came through in the clutch. I'm sorry, A-Rod was a better, more talented player. Just couldn't come through the clutch, strike out.
And that's why. And guess what? Yeah, he makes a comment that. And guess what? He makes a comment like that, and then he'll say, "I'm still taking A-Rod." Don't play that game.
No. Listen, as a younger guy,
bullshit. You tell me you take A-Rod.
In one game, I'm taking Jeter. Absolutely, it's obvious. But I still love A-Rod's talent.
For a career, you're taking obviously A-Rod because of that.
Well, now I can't because he's not gonna make the Hall of Fame. You gotta take Jeter's career. Plus all the women he had, bro. I mean,
my God, you're unbelievable. Which one?
Come on, he had a good lineup.
Which one?
He had a good batting lineup.
Jeter had an all-time lineup.
Yeah, exactly.
He had an all-time lineup.
But but if you think about Clayton Kershaw, one of the narratives around him was great regular season pitcher couldn't produce in the postseason.
How about our boy that we talk about that gets a lot of hate all time? Our guy, our quarterback. The guy that was the quarterback for the New York Football Giants. I mean, he wasn't great all the time, but he delivered in the biggest moments. That's why, like, when people say, who's a quarterback you take for one game to win your Super Bowl, I know people would say Patrick Mahomes. People would say Tom Brady. I don't care. I'll go to the grave on this. I'll take Eli Manning because he delivered to win me a Super Bowl. One game, not a whole season. I'm not talking about that. There's a lot of better quarterbacks than Eli. I'm saying for one game, I would take Eli Manning. I don't care.
Eli was clutch in both.
He was the most. He beat the most clutch quarterback of all time. Let's finish up since we're talking about
that was a team thing.
I know, but
I mean, listen,
he still had to make the play. I mean, he was trailing in both the games.
And I think everyone's like, well, you could put any quarterback in San Francisco. I get it, but they don't need a Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. They need a guy to execute the offense, and he does what Kyle Shanahan needs for them. I get it. It's not sexy. He's not big. He's not fast.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
there's still going to be a narrative in the Super Bowl that if he plays like shit like he did for most of the playoffs so far, except for the last couple quarters, it's going to be like, damn.
Then they're going to have a tough. Then they're going to have to figure out.
Is he still not good enough? But the 49ers, they still can't pay him next year.
No.
They can't pay him. So he's still on the books for less than $1 million for next season. So
that man's about to get like a $300 million contract after next year.
It's just funny. Like, we have like the guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson who are so talented, top of the world. And we don't know that if Purdy stays healthy last year, does he beat the Eagles team? We don't know that question. And he's going back to back-to-back Super Bowls. And then what is the question about, are we looking at a rematch again? The same teams. We could literally be looking at the same teams from last year, this year. We thought San Francisco was going to win it last year, the way they were playing.
We also thought Philly was going to be back there too.
I mean, you're talking about a guy that was the last pick in the draft.
So he's doing incredible things.
He's doing what he's supposed to do. I don't understand. I don't understand why, because he's not the sexy guy in the neighborhood.
Because it's just how people are nowadays, man.
Listen,
it's just why people.
You want to be Dak Prescott? Go be Dak Prescott. Go be Lamar. Go be Josh Allen. I'd rather be Purdy right now. 2 NFC Championship games in 2 years, a Super Bowl appearance.
My only thing is,
I'd like to have their money.
My only thing is, I think you're 100% spot on. I would say my big thing is, this is a different animal. If you're trailing like you were last night or even last week against the Packers, it could be a different result because you are playing against Mahomes. You are playing against Andy Reid. You're playing against Steve Spagnuolo, who all these guys are Hall of Fame-esque in their own sense of defensive coordinator. Spags is one of the greatest of all time because of what he does, and we know what he can do. So if they play from behind like they have been this postseason, it could be a different result. They definitely have to get off to a hotter start, but they do have the talent to overcome those deficits. We got to close out quickly because we didn't even talk about the team that we all thought was not making the Super Bowl again this year, but they are back. I mean, what else do we have to say about the Kansas City Chiefs, Ted, quickly? I mean, is there really anything else to say?
Kind of disappointed myself that I didn't take the Chiefs. Like, it was like,
well, guess what, Ted? The good thing is about that, you have one more chance to.
No, I know, but it's kind of like the Brady thing. Like, you're looking for an excuse to not to choose. You're looking not to take the Chiefs because you hate Taylor Swift. Like, she interferes on the game. Like, who gives a shit? Like, we don't want to see the Chiefs. I get it. It's like Alabama.
That's secretly a Swiftie.
It's like Alabama football. It's like,
Ted, you're secretly a Swiftie fan, though. It's okay.
It's not a Swiftie fan, bro. It doesn't bother me. I don't care.
I've already told you how I felt about it.
I get it, but we live in a world where
they overdo it. They just overdo it. That's it.
Well, listen, no different than the controversy of the knee thing with Colin Kaepernick. Some people just didn't give a shit. It didn't matter. Like, just play football. Who cares? So let's not make a big deal. Other people took it like it was like life or death.
Is there anything to really say about Patrick Mahomes right now?
As a player, no. The conversation now is if he wins one more Super Bowl, he'll have 3 Super Bowls. He'll be
Does he climb to number 2?
One right behind Montana.
Does he climb to number 2 or 3?
He's in the. I think he's 2.5. I'm serious. He'll have 3 Super Bowls.
You are truly incredible. You are truly incredible.
Super Bowl appearances in 6 years. You know, he's only 28 years old. Think about it. Brady's career was Hall of Fame after, like, another Hall of Fame career after he turned 30. So, like, Mahomes really is like, we still got like 10 more years of Mahomes.
But I know people, he might be the greatest quarterback people have ever seen play, but let's pump the brakes on the whole GOAT talk because he's not the GOAT yet. He never beat Brady. Like, I get it. He never beat Brady. So you can never have the argument.
He did in New England. At New England, they won on Sunday Night Football.
They did.
Yes, Tyreek Hill. Remember he went like this, and the guy threw like beer or popcorn on him and gave him like the finger, and the guy got it. It was Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, that was with Alex Smith.
No, Mahomes was the quarterback. They beat him in New England
on a Sunday Night Football. Patriots won that game.
No, they did not.
They won like 42 to like 38.
I'm telling you, did Mahomes ever beat Tom Brady?
I'm curious.
Boston.com. Brady emerged victorious in both matchups against the Chiefs, beating Mahomes in the
I'm not talking about that.
championship
See, your damn phone can't even give me the right answer. You might have to look it up.
That thing.
I can't get this thing on. All I'm saying is that people got to stop with he's the greatest quarterback of all time. He's not. I mean, Tom Brady is still the greatest quarterback of all time. He still has 7 rings. He
I
still
mean,
has all the
look at the
Super Bowl.
comparison.
He still has all the records. But Patrick Mahomes is on a trajectory where he is most possibly going to pass Tom Brady as the all-time great. But let's pump it. If he wins again, I have no problem with putting him in the conversation with Montana. He passes Elway. He passes, to me, also Peyton. I mean,
They faced each other 6 times.
Yeah.
Brady and Mahomes.
Yeah,
First time they faced, Brady beat him 43-40. Last time they faced, Mahomes beat him 41-31. The second face.
Oh, yeah, when he was with Tampa. Yeah.
And the next match later, with the Chiefs finally defeating, they've defeated him 23-16. Yeah.
Who, the Chiefs?
3-3.
So he's 3-3, but he's 0-2 in the postseason to him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the championship game and the Super Bowl. But that Super Bowl game, let's be honest, bro, he had no offensive lineman. He was running for his life.
I get it.
Both tackles were out.
I get it. He still lost, though. What are you going to do?
If he had his tackles, I think that game would have been it. We talked about that realistically.
I mean, we watched the game live. We were watching it.
It is what it is. Whatever.
Don't you remember we were watching it?
Yeah, we watched it 2020.
No, 2021. Do you know I've watched every Super Bowl since I've been living down here in Florida with you? Never missed a Super Bowl with you. 2021, you came down here. Last year, you were down here. And this year, I'm going to be coming up to see you. Yeah. I know people are like, oh, why is 49ers and Chiefs? But like Taylor Swift, this and that. It's a boring Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl.
Oh, absolutely.
I believe this is going to be great. You got an all-time great. You got Hall of Famers.
You remember last year they faced each other in San Francisco when San Francisco was rolling.
And they kicked the crap out of them.
Yeah, it was like 40-something to 20.
Yeah, they kicked the crap
beat him by
out of
like easily double digit. I think it was like 15.
This is the first week they got McCaffrey. They traded for McCaffrey that week. He played a little, and then
they crushed him.
He got some Hall of Fame type talent in this.
Quarterback at that time?
Yeah,
he was a quarterback for San Francisco at that. Okay.
Yeah, got some Hall of Fame talent in this game. It's going to be, and it's. I mean, come on, it's 2 weeks away,
and I think the bigger question will be down the road, and we'll talk about is Kyle Shanahan. We talk about his greatness as an offensive player, as a head coach. Win the big one. You gotta get the monkey off your back. So I'm very interested. We got 2 weeks before the game. There's gonna be a lot to talk about, a lot of storylines for the Chiefs, and for both teams to get healthy.
Are we picking against the Chiefs? I don't know. We got to see how that plays out.
I don't know. I mean, my preseason pick was the 49ers. I had the 49ers over the Bills when we did it right before postseason.
And also, this could be the first in over 20 years. Let's think about it. That we could have a repeat champion since the 03-04 New England Patriots.
Yep.
It is 2023 and 2024. Just saying.
Yeah, there's really nothing to say about Patrick Mahomes and that team and Andy Reid.
No, if you ever doubt Patrick Mahomes and that team again, then you're just ultimately a hater because
if you think about it, where are the weapons? Where's the Sky Moores?
Your boy Rashee Rice, man.
Your
boy Rashee Rice is a nice weapon.
Rashee Rice number 1 and Travis Kelce with 11 catches. The defense.
Christian McCaffrey gave you 30 points yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns, 90 rushing yards, and 4 receptions.
Hard to do shit for me yesterday.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah, but who was your backup quarterback?
I don't remember. I didn't even care. I forgot who it was.
Yeah, Lamar would have screwed you.
I forgot who I picked up at the end of the season. Dude, I don't remember.
You had a quarterback, I think, but I just forgot.
I know I picked up someone. Who knows?
Well, the Final Four is over. We are now set to 2 teams playing in Vegas. 13 days away until we either have a repeat or we can have somebody be called a new champion. Sure, San Francisco, Kansas City. Hell of a weekend if you're a Chief and you're a 49er fan. Sad and awful, awful times right now if you're a Ravens and a Lions fan. Long offseason coming. We'll see what happens the rest of the way. A lot to happen. Hopefully they're all healthy. I think the Chiefs are going to be healthy with Joe Tooney. Willie Gay will probably be back too. So you got great corner matchups. You got 2 great corner matchups. You got 2 great. The 49ers defense isn't as great as it has been, but
yeah, they better fix their running game because Pacheco could run wild on them, set the tone.
Yeah, We'll see. It's all in the making of a classic Super Bowl. Super Bowl 58 is officially underway. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Keys to the City. We'll see you next episode. We are out.
You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.